All right, brothers and sisters, welcome everyone. I guess we're gonna let everyone into the live show, but you're gonna be muted at first anyway. We'll go over a few things and then later on we'll get to questions. This is Mic Drop Mondays. We are recording this and we are also live on Facebook and live on YouTube. Today is August the 25th, 2025, 8/25/25, and we are going to be talking about the back pay today. So finally, the long-awaited back pay, the money they've been owing us since August of 2023, is finally hitting the paychecks, and everyone's been able to go on light blue. Everyone except for Sarah. For
Yeah.
some reason, for some reason, Sarah cannot see her pay stub. But every other letter carrier in America has been seeing their pay stub, and just a lot of questions out there. So we're going to clarify as much as we can, and then whatever's still not clear, we'll take whatever questions you guys have, and hopefully one of them, either Renee or Sarah, will tell you what the format is for the questions because I don't exactly know how that goes. But just on the back pay in general, I think it's worth noting that it's not a win. Um, the information or the PR spin that was put out last week on the NELC social media and on the website made it seem like we were winning something here. And in fact, you will have more money on Friday than you had on Thursday, but it's still not what we should be making. Those raises in the last contract didn't even keep up with the rate of inflation, and there is no interest on this back pay. So the fact that the Postal Service was able to hold on to money that rightfully should have been ours for the past 2 years and not pay us any interest on it, that's good for the company. That's not necessarily good for the employee. So I definitely wouldn't frame this thing as a win at all. But we're looking forward to getting those checks this week. If you're active carrier, a letter carrier still, then you'll get your check direct deposited. However you do it, maybe you get it on Thursday night. Maybe you got that chime or whatever those accounts are where you get it a little earlier, Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever. So the information is out, and everyone's looking at their e-payroll like, hey, what is this? And people have a lot of questions. So we're going to go over one person that's just sent me their information because they had a question, so I just copied their information. But we can use anybody's. It's just for general kind of informational purposes. All the paper checks should come on Friday, and that goes for retirees. That goes for someone who quit the Postal Service. Whatever reason, if you're not in an active status and you don't have, you can't get the money direct deposited, then there should be a paper check at the post office. So that's going to be, everyone's going to be flooding these post offices. It's at the last delivery unit that you worked at as an employee, if you're retired or you quit the Postal Service or whatever. So that's what they say. They say the money will be there. So let's hope that that is the case. Of course, the people that retired are going to be, looking at recalculating their annuities based on the raises they should have gotten. Of course, the people that were off on injuries during that time are not going to receive the full back pay, and their pay as, computed by the Office of Workmen's Compensation is lower than what it should have been if the back pay would have been, in it originally. So we think that those people are going to have to contact OWCP and tell them that the pay amount that you received on the date of injury was incorrect. But we're looking for some more information from our regional workmen's compensation. What's the A stand for? It's not associates, regional assistants. Regional workmen's compensation assistants all over the country that we have. Hopefully give us a little guidance on that process, how that's going to play out. So you see on the screen, if you're able to see it, if you're on YouTube, you can see it. If you listen to this on Spotify, you should be able to see it. It's also published every Monday in the podcast formats. You guys can people people think they got to listen to the show on Monday. This one's live, just in case you guys have questions that you want to ask. But normally it's not. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to listen to it on Monday. It's there forever. You can go back and listen to previous episodes. Like I said, YouTube, Spotify, any of the podcast formats. So, first of all, looking at this person's information, just to kind of start it off, you're looking at the back pay period being between August the 26th of 2023 and April the 18th of 2025. That's a span of 43 pay periods total. Now, that's pay periods 19 in 2023, the start date, and going up until pay period 9 of this year. When the Postal Service does adjustments, you see up on the screen, there's 11 little tabs there. That's the maximum number of adjustment tabs that they can calculate. And so a lot of people are like, where's all my adjustments? I should have 43 pay periods. As long as you had any paid hours in that time frame, then they owe you the difference. It doesn't mean they owe you the pay for that period because you already received the pay. But what you're receiving now is the difference in pay, what you should have gotten had your pay been done right the first time versus what you actually did receive. Normally, you're talking about a few cents per hour. Normally, you're talking about maybe around $100 a pay period, something like that. So if you have 43 pay periods, $100 per pay period, you got about $4,300, somewhere around there. It's going to vary wildly based on your rate of pay, based on how many hours you work, overtime hours, penalty overtime hours, et cetera, et cetera. And the way the ones that I've seen at least, is that there's one of those tabs that has all the pay periods in them. And so you'll have 10 different tabs. Like in mine, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 11 were all individual pay periods. The calculation for each individual pay period, how much it is, how much the deductions is, et cetera. And then the tab number 10 was 33 pay periods combined together. And I've seen that on a couple people. I don't know if it's always tab number 10 where they put them all together, but one of those tabs is going to have to put them all together because there's 43 pay periods and there's only 11 adjustment tabs. Looking down at the bottom of the page there, you got the carrier's gross total pay for this pay period was $13,450.01. So that's the total that they got, which is going to include their wages for pay period 18, which we're in right now, and the back pay. So the 13, when you see that total gross pay number, that's not just the back pay. That's your earnings for this pay period plus the back pay. And in this person's case, their total adjustments gross was $6,517.17, and then $6,932.84 was their total gross pay for pay period 18 for the hours they worked, that they're being paid for with this check, which is any hours they worked between August the 9th and August the 22nd when the pay period ended last Friday, and that's what'll come on their check. So you got both of those little factors, and you can see that out of the 13,450, the net pay after they took out all the deductions was only 7,426. It's like, damn, they're taking out a lot of money. Everyone that thought we were going to get like 100% of those money, no, because it's wages. It's wages, and wages are taxed just like the original wages were taxed. But now the difference is additional wages, and that's what the back pay is, and that's going to be taxed as well. So, all right, let's go to the next screen there. This is just a list of all their deductions. You can see this is just your normal, people got all type of stuff. Yours is going to look a little different depending on what yours is, depending on what benefit plans you're in, depending on what, if you're giving to the TSP, if you got allotments. I mean, everyone gives to the TSP, they should at least. But there's all type of different things in there. You could have or you could not have. You could have allotments, whatever. So basically, you have your standard deductions that come out of every check, right? You have your taxes, different federal, state, FICA, Medicare, whatever. Then you have your benefits, like I was saying, different retirements, your FERS donation, your TSP, your, if you have benefits, you have vision, you have dental, you have whatever, what's that called? The flexible spending account, whatever all those things are. And then you have your allotments. You can have up to 3 allotments, so you might have some of those too. And all that's going to come out every pay period. Normally that amount is about the same. For this person, they got coming out of their check, normally is like, I think it was like $3,500, but we'll get to that in a second there. But the carrier's gross pay was 13,470, 450, I'm sorry, like we said. 6,000 was deducted, leaving them with $7,426 net to bank. The deduction is, their gross pay for pay period 18 was $6,932, and the back pay total for this person was $6,517. And so that means they must have worked a little overtime during the back pay period, because you can't get to that high of a number. And I'm sure there are people that have even a higher number, but that's not a 40-hour paycheck, So this person was working a little bit more. And then this, what I'm looking at, I can't see. Let me see if I flip it. Nope, I still can't see it. So you have the different deductions that are for, I can move the screen for a second there. Okay. The gross pay, we went over that. The regular deductions for pay period 18 totaled $3,567.26. And that's all that stuff that comes out of their regular check. Their taxes, their withholdings, their allotments, their benefits, everything that comes out. The total adjustments, deductions, you can see that's a line item, was $2,456. So out of the $6,500 that they should have gotten for their back pay, because taxes were taken out of the back pay, $2,456 in taxes were taken out, their actual back pay amount was around $4,000. And you can see that number there, the total deduction, $3,567, the adjustment deduction, $2,456. And so the total amount that came out from their total gross was $6,023. You subtract that from what their gross was, which was 13 whatever, and that's how you get the net pay, $7,426 for this person. And that's what the net to bank amount is going to be. That's what their, that's what the check amount is going to be deposited into their account. So I hope that cleared some things up for you guys, but we'll go back and take questions, whatever you got. I wanted to show you guys mine and put it up on the screen. I want to make sure you guys understand, I'm the only member of the executive council. There's 28 of us on the executive council. I'm the only one that's getting any type of back pay, that's had any type of work hours since August of 2023. But I'm pretty sure I'm the only person on the executive council that's had any work hours as a letter carrier going back to the pandemic, going back to prior to the pandemic. In the last 6 or 7 years, I don't think a single person on the executive council had any work hours as a letter carrier. And that's a big part of this campaign for president, is that we should be a union of letter carriers and not a union of union representatives. I think that's a big distinction there. But anyway, I didn't work that much during that period. I normally go back and carry my route for like a week out of the year. So, work a little overtime. Anyway, I had 70, well, I had, what was it, 100 and, what was my total? What did they give me? Like $125, right? And then they took out $47.32, and I ended up with $78.02. Don't spend it all in one place. I told them I'm going to donate all of my earnings to the campaign. All of it, the whole thing, the whole back paycheck. All $78 of it. But the tax rate's coming in about 37%, it seems like. Which seems high, but, and the more you earn, the more, the higher the tax rate is. And that includes all the different, taxes, the federal, state, the FICA, the Medicaid, and all that stuff does come out. But speaking of the campaign, we are definitely running this nationwide campaign. And so right now we have a nationwide raffle out there, having a little fun with it. So if you go to the website, careforprez.org, CAREF, the number 4, PREZ.org, You have the standings up there because there are four major raffle prizes, and then we're going to give away some of these caps as well. I think 15 of them. Oops, sorry about that. So the raffle, we're live. We're live. Everything that happens, happens. The prizes, oh, look, Sarah's on top of the game here. Nintendo Switch 2 Mario Kart Edition is one of the prizes. Second prize is Apple iPad 11-inch A16 chip, 128 gigabytes in blue. And then you have the Ninja Slushy 5-in-1 frozen drink maker. Not sure what color. I know the pink has been requested, but I'll see what color that thing is. Or just the default $500 in airfare with United Airlines. And you can put your preference. It is a ranked choice voting system, just like you do when you bid on routes, you know, preference, choice 1, choice 2, choice 3, choice 4. And then that way, if let's say we pulled a ticket, we pull your name first, we'll know which prize you want out of the 4. And then the next person, we pull their ticket, which prize do they want? If that prize is gone already, then we go to the second choice. And if that prize is gone, we go to the third choice, you know, like that. So that you don't have to do it. You don't have to rank them if you don't want to. But if you do rank them, it will allow for you to get the prize that you want if you're the winner. The winners are going to be drawn on December the 5th. No, not December. No. September the 15th. Basically, we have this pay period, and then we have the next pay period. And then the Monday following that would be Mic Drop Mondays on September the 15th. I believe I will be in Boston as part of the Kick the Tires tour. So I'm going all over the place as well. So the funds, people ask, you know, what do you need the funds for? Obviously, there's merchandise. There's getting information out about the campaign. There's running the website. There's running the show. There's running all the different production of the campaign. But there's also the travel, which we're saving a lot of money because my son works for United Airlines. Baby boy, don't lose your job. Stick with it. That is saving us a ton of money. But there's still a lot of expenses with travel and going around. And then the big expense is going to be when we go to send out mailing or mailings to the members of the union, because this election will take place as a mail ballot election in the fall of 2026. And I think it's very important that we get our information about the campaign out to every member in the mail, because that's how they're going to vote. So anyway, this raffle, we've sent out tickets, like hard copy tickets, all over the country. Hopefully, the people that have those tickets can probably sell them all this week now that we got some money in our pocket finally. We're not asking anyone to give more than $20. You know, $20, we get a bunch of carriers to give $20. That's great. You get every ticket is $5, but if you get 5 of them, you know, you get 5 for $20. So if you buy 4, you get an extra one for free. And, you know, just hopefully a lot of people will be able to get some tickets, participate. Hopefully you'll win, but of course everyone can't win. But you know, we're using it as a fundraiser for the campaign. And you can go, if you guys don't have the physical tickets, and we're almost out of them. I think we have a few left. So if you want physical tickets so you can take them around your station and stuff like that, let us know like ASAP while we still have some left. But very soon now, probably over the next couple, 3 days, I think we're going to run out of the physical tickets. And then from there, you can still get tickets. Just go through the website. Go to careforprez.org and click on the nationwide raffle. And you can just get the tickets that way, easy peasy, just like that. Up at the top is all the tabs. While you're there, check out the platform. You know, let me know what your thoughts are, your criticisms, your critiques as letter carriers. So. And just let me know in general what your thoughts are of the campaign, and if there's something I should be doing or something I'm not aware of, or, you know, thoughts and comments are always welcome by the members of this union. This is an interactive process. All right, so on the back pay, I don't know. I know there's a lot of questions out there. Maybe after I showed you guys that stuff, you're like, oh, I got it. Or maybe not. So we will open it up to questions. I don't know, can one of you guys explain how they got to do it to ask questions?
You basically just type it in the chat, and then we get to it. So pretty simple.
Yeah. Maybe we should have given them a couple minutes heads up, you know, so we could have had the questions already. But, you know, I got carried away. I wasn't thinking about that. Oh, I can tell you guys, while you guys are getting your questions ready, I was at the California State Convention this past week. Like Thursday was training, and Friday and Saturday morning. I left Saturday morning. I was not at the convention on Saturday, but on Friday last week, this general resolution came up. Um, see if I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. Okay, so this general resolution came up from Branch 193, which is San Jose, California. The convention took place in Burlingame, which is right outside of San Francisco, real close to the SFO airport out there. Anyway, it's a whereas is all about President Renfro and what he has done and what he hasn't done, et cetera, as our leader, as our president. And it says further, be it resolved that the members of the National Association of Letter Carriers, Branch 193, and the elected delegates of the California State Association of Letter Carriers Convention place on record a vote of no confidence for National President Brian Renfro and demand that he step down from his position as National President of the NALC. And that was submitted by San Jose Branch 193, and they put it to a vote. And not only did it pass as the body of the California State Association resolution, but it was unanimous. It was 100% unanimous consent of every single delegate that was there. Not a single one stood up to say that they had confidence in the president or that the president should not resign and he should, stick with his position. And, that just really, to me, was, they said, hey, any dissenters, any opinions, anyone want to say something, contrary to what this resolution has? And it was crickets. There was not a single person that wanted to dissent. You probably had maybe about 350 delegates, big room, a lot of different branches. I think California has about 39,000 letter carriers total. And, of course, those delegates are representing their letter carriers from their branches and their offices and stuff like that. So it was really reflective, I think, of the feeling that a lot of us have that President Renfro failed us really hard on the last round of contract negotiations. And it's really unsettling with everything that's going on in the world and with our jobs that he's still in charge of our union, and we're going to enter into a new round of collective bargaining starting next year in February. And we have no idea what to expect, and he certainly hasn't indicated to us that he plans to do this thing any differently than we did last time, which was, I think pretty much a disaster last time with the time that it took and the lack of accomplishment in general regarding the contract. So we'll see what happens, but just wanted to make you guys aware of that general resolution coming out of the California State Association of Letter Carriers. We got questions? We ready? What
You
we
have
doing?
a statement. What are your thoughts on Step P increasing 279, almost double the amount Step B was increased?
Say that again. I'm sorry, I was looking at something. The amount that Step P was increased. What's the question?
What are your thoughts on Step P increasing $2.79, almost double the amount that Step B increased?
Yeah, that's a result of the prorated cola or the diet cola or the whatever term they want to put to it. So, and a lot of people ask that question about the cola. Like, what is my position if I'm the president of the union? What would be my position on the cola? And the cola, the cost of living allowance, really served us well for a lot of years. It really served us well for a lot of years because when the cost of goods and services went up, everyone got a comparable raise. I mean, you still got general wage increases, you still got step increases, but everyone was applied the exact same amount, no matter where you're at in the pay scale. And that was to make up for the rise in the cost of goods and services out there. Rent goes up, milk and eggs go up, whatever, cost of gas goes up, your paycheck would go up as well, and everyone would get the same amount raised. Well, now, because it's prorated, what we actually get is the same percentage raise, which some people could argue, well, we're not getting cheated, we're all getting the same percent. So Step B is the lowest rate, Step P is at the top, that's the highest rate, And both of them now, under our current system, would get the same exact percent raise, just like we get a general wage increase. It might be 1.3. The COLA, even though they put it into a dollar number, it's actually a percentage wage increase that's applied to everybody. And so when you go to negotiate a contract, you got to look at that. And basically, it's a guessing game. Do you think that the rate of inflation, because the way they factor the CPI times this and, the formula that they apply, it's not the rate of inflation. It's like 50% somewhere around there of the rate of inflation. And so if the inflation rate is low and you negotiate a COLA plus a, say, 2% wage increase, you did really good. You would say, I did really good in that situation. But in a situation where there's the high rate of inflation and you're only getting half of that, and then you're only getting like a 1.3% on top of that, you're losing ground. And that's what we've seen, especially in this last contract and even the one before that. We saw that we lost ground because the inflation numbers were a lot higher than they had been in the past. So we, the union, we pay for economists and actuaries, and we pay people to predict what we think the rate of inflation is going to be going forward. And so it's a negotiation. But if we think the rate of inflation is going to be high, then really the cost of living, unless you have the cost of living plus a larger general wage increase, you're going to be losing. But if you think the rate of inflation is going to be low, you can negotiate the cost of living plus a basic 1.5%, whatever general wage increase, and we'd be winning in a situation like that. So it all comes down to the projection. Now, we could get back to the old way of doing the COLA, which is a dollar amount. Rate of inflation goes up, everyone gets the same amount. If we're able to win that through the next round of collective bargaining negotiations, then I think the cost of living would certainly be a win for letter carriers and something that we should be proud of to have in the contract. But the way it is right now, it's just a percent increase. So is the percent higher than the rate of inflation or lower than the rate of inflation? And what was ironic about this round of collective bargaining, because it took so long, we already knew what the rate of inflation was because we had seen it already. And so we already knew that the raises were not even sufficient to keep up with the rate of inflation in 2023 and in 2024. So we knew this one was a loser contract right away. But normally, if you're negotiating the contract ahead of time, you got to kind of predict and you kind of got to negotiate from there.
Okay. Will we get a new contract in May 2026 any quicker? 2019 to 2023 took 500 days. This contract took 700 days time for a change. We should have something in place right now.
Well, I can tell you guys that President Renfro has begun the internal process within the union. And I'm sure he'll tell us more about it when we get to the RAP session this year, which is going to be toward the end of November. It'll be in the city of Cleveland. I don't know. He announced it in California that was the case. I thought it was going to go up on the website today, but I didn't see it. Did it come up on the website today? Anyway, that's when it's going to be, and that's where it's going to be. But I can tell you, President Renfro is also going to be calling all of the members of the Executive Council out to Washington, D.C. a lot in the months of September and October and November leading up to the RAP session. And so it's yet to be determined. I mean, we had bargaining committees last time as well, but what we were not in was bargaining committees with the Postal Service, where we, the other members of the Executive Council, had a say in what the outcome of those contract negotiations were going to be. Last time, President Renfro took it upon himself, didn't do a very good job, strung us along for all them days, and the end result was very underwhelming. So obviously we don't want to repeat that, and hopefully we can convince President Renfro to do it a little bit differently this time. One, move it along, but also two, figure out how to get people's input in real time. And the resolutions that passed at the 2024 convention calling for open bargaining, calling for us rallying and getting the public on our side and getting their support. Those resolutions are the law of the land for this union. and the president should obviously be out in front of that, but we're all going to have to be out in front of that. We're all going to have to be out there, like I said, getting the public on our side, making sure that the process is transparent so that everyone can contribute, everyone can see what it's looking like and say, that sounds good, that doesn't sound good, or whatever, and not just wait, what do you say, 700 and something days before you get it and you're like, nah, this sucks. That's not the way the process should be. And obviously, if we vote the damn thing down again, we want our president to take our case to interest arbitration. That's a right that we won in 1970 when our brothers and sisters went out on strike. They won that right, and we certainly hope that we don't replay the same process where we do not take our case to interest arbitration and we just allow for a stipulated award or mediated settlement to be imposed upon us, and it just happens to be the same conditions that we already voted down in the tentative agreement. So anyway, there's a lot that went wrong last time, and we have the same president, and the president is over the collective bargaining process per the Constitution of the NALC. So there's some hope and optimism that it'll be a better and more fruitful process, but we just don't know that, and I'm not so sure exactly how to get there. If you guys have any ideas of how to get us there, that would be great. That would be great.
The next question says, doesn't the Congressional Budget Office project inflation? And those are the figures used, question mark?
I think it's probably accurate that the Congressional Budget Office, has projections, but also every economist that, went to school or whatever, has their own thoughts. So we hire people to have, to give us our professional opinion on that. And so let's say you look at the congressional budget numbers and you say, I think those might be low. That can affect how you want to bargain for the contract. So we'll see how it plays out.
Is there a real way to have him not negotiate this next deal going forward? No contract should end in an election year.
Yeah, and that's one more thing that was really disturbing about that stipulated award or whatever it is that they did on March 21st of this year was that at least in the tentative agreement, it was going to go all the way until November, basically to the end of President Renfro's term. So, for all intents and purposes, you would be able to elect a new president to do the next round of collective bargaining, and we would have had our convention, which is going to be in August of 2026, prior to the start of contract negotiations. So we don't have either of those things. The convention will be after the start of contract negotiations, and President Renfro is our president until the end of 2026. There's only two ways that he's not the president, and that is he voluntarily resigns his position, as the brothers and sisters in California at least were requesting that he does, or there's charges against him, and those charges go forward. But the charges process really hasn't worked for a lot of reasons, but mainly because my brothers and sisters on the executive council, the majority, do not want to pursue the charges against President Renfro that he was negligent in the way that he handled the last round of collective bargaining. It doesn't even mean that most of the people on the executive council think he did a good job. It's just that, the standard is, were you negligent and did you violate any terms of the Constitution? And the Constitution gives very broad latitude to the president to negotiate a contract. And so somehow they figured out that the contract was going to end in May of 2026 instead of November of 2026, and I don't think that's really in our best interest, but that's what happened.
Let's see. I was in step A in 2023, and I only received $3,000, and I work overtime all year.
Yeah, it sounds kind of low, right? I don't know. You have to go back and look. Excuse me. You have to go back and look at the each pay period broken down to see. So you can go back and look at all of your all of the hours worked in every pay period. Like I say, it started in pay period 19 of 2023 all the way up until pay period 9 of 2025. That's the back pay period. So if you want to go back and pull up those numbers, hours worked, or paid hours, it don't have to be worked, any type of paid hours in each one. I know we put out a little worksheet, the campaign did. Did you guys see that worksheet, Sarah or Renee? If you go on the Care for Press
Yeah, I
Facebook
saw
page,
it.
if you want to Care for Press Facebook page, you can download that, or if you send us a message. Everything with this campaign, by the way, is Care for Press. So if you send us a message at careforpress@gmail,
Do you
we'll
know
send it
what it's
back to you.
under?
It was on the Facebook page. I don't think
Oh,
it's, you
the
can find
Facebook
it on the
page.
website.
Oh, okay.
But I saw it on the Care for Press Facebook page that there was like a little worksheet. So basically, you could go back and add up all your hours and then put it into the worksheet, and then it'll spit out a number to see if it's generally correct or not. I got to tell you, last time we had back pay, we got the contract in early part of 2021. It was the same thing. It was a lot of back pay. And there was a lot of people that wanted to calculate it for themselves. And all the ones I saw, the calculations were correct. The Postal Service has programmers and, that kind of thing. So it's kind of hard for them to mess this thing up, but not to say that they did, or that, I'm sorry that they didn't mess it up. So if you want to do it for yourself, go find that worksheet, or like I said, we can send it to you. And then you're going to have to go back and do the legwork as far as calculating all those hours to see what the discrepancy is. So, what was that, the horn?
Yeah.
Oh, that is out there. I close the windows for you guys, try to keep the noise down, but a little action out there usually.
So someone made a statement saying we were making 65,000 at the beginning of 2019 contract. 7 years later, with our current raises, inclusive of 2 more colas and a contractual raise, we will be at about 84,326. That's plus 30%.
Yeah, I don't know the exact math. I know that when I factored the rate of inflation from 2019 up into the beginning part of 2025, the rate of inflation was like 24%, I think it was. And I really do not think we kept up with the rate of inflation. But, it depends on how you factor it. And, some people think that we did keep up with the rate of inflation. But I'll tell you this, either we kept up with the rate of inflation or we were a little bit below the rate of inflation. But what we didn't get is big increases reflective of the value that we provided to society during the pandemic. When we didn't miss a day of work, we didn't get any hazard pay, where they called us essential. And this was the contract we were looking to be rewarded and to be shown, the value that we provide, not just to the Postal Service, but to the whole, whole community. And if you look at our pay versus UPS drivers, it's not comparable. We make less. And if you look at the rate of inflation, we might be close to the rate of inflation, depending on how you calculate it, but we weren't higher than the rate of inflation versus the time frame of 2019 versus today. And that was during the pandemic and post-pandemic, where we worked our asses off, didn't miss a day of work, and they said you don't get any hazard pay because you have a collective bargaining agreement. And we go to negotiate the collective bargaining agreement, and there's still no hazard pay, and the raises were just not sufficient.
So are you saying Renfro will get a new contract before the election in 2026?
I'd say that's very likely. The way the time frame works is if there is a negotiated contract on May 22nd, it's either 21st or 22nd of 2023, that's the expiration of this contract. If we have a new agreement with the Postal Service, it will go out to the membership for ratification. We know that this time, at least, that process took damn near 3 months. It could probably be done in 2, depending on if you try to expedite it. President Renfro was not trying to expedite it last time because he was trying to sell you guys on the contract. So he took some time in there to do that. But either way, 2-3 months, whatever, you're looking at into the summer before the members would have a chance. If there's a agreed to, a tentative agreement in May of 2023, we would be able to vote on it and maybe have a contract, maybe not have a contract by the summer. But of course, let's say we voted down, then it would go to interest arbitration. And, President Renfro oversees that as well. So his term of office doesn't expire until December of 2026, and I would say that it's likely, no matter what the scenarios are, I would think that we would have a contract by then, unless he just really drags his feet again, which it's not in our best interest. So I'm not going to say, oh, I hope he drags his feet. I don't. I don't hope he drags his feet. I hope he moves it along and takes our case to arbitration, which is what he should have done last time.
Is the Postal Service looking to get rid of Table 2? And what changes is the Postal Service looking to change going into the next contract agreement?
Well, I would definitely don't speak for the Postal Service, but I'm positive they're not trying to get rid of Table Two. They love Table Two. Table Two allows them to pay the letter carriers a lot less over their careers, a lot less at first, a lot less during the whole steps of the process. Before in the Table One pay chart, you were 92% to the top by the time you got to Step D. You were solidly in the middle class, making a really good wage within 3-4 years of beginning your career. So the fact that in most places we're hired as non-career CCAs, and then the fact that it's a low starting pay, and then moving yourself up the chart is definitely in favor of the Postal Service, and they definitely would love to keep that structure, no doubt about it. But to that point, the Postal Service is definitely going to want to, take back some of the things that we've won. I mean, anyway, I don't want to even get into it because I don't want to give them any ideas, and I don't want you guys thinking I'm trying to make their case for them. But look, it's a negotiation. We go in there and we want $100 an hour and free Cadillac every year, and they want to pay us $10 an hour and give us a book of stamps every year, and it's going to be a battle back and forth. And that's why we have to be prepared to take our case to arbitration, not just on the pay issues, which are the main issues, but everything that's wrong with the contract. I mean, you look at the grievance procedure being broken, you look at the hiring process being broken, you look at the mandatory overtime issues, just up and down the contract. There's problems, and we probably will not have a willing partner with the Postal Service in trying to resolve those problems, because quite frankly, they're trying to make those problems worse, and they're trying to pay us less. So I think we're going to definitely end up in an interest arbitration type scenario, and it's going to be a fight, no doubt about it.
Isn't UPS projecting possible layoffs to drivers, which is contrary to its most recent contract?
Yeah, but they're fighting their own thing, and you can only go off of what the terms of the contract that they agreed to were, and those terms were they did a good job negotiating that contract. Now, yes, the employer is trying to go back on some of the things that they committed to during the contract negotiation, things that they signed off on. But they have a union, and the union is going to fight them on that. So the fact that they have a contract and they have something to stand on as they're fighting, their employer, is all that we wanted. We want to have strong black and white language that we can stand on, and then when the post office does what the post office do, try to screw us, we would have that contract language to fall back on and say, no, you're not going to be able to do that because this language says this, and you can go to court if necessary to enforce the terms because you have a contract that's enforceable. Well, we don't have a good contract that's enforceable, so they're definitely a step ahead of us on that one.
What do you think of the new Postmaster General Steiner? It's been a month, but should we be hopeful or scared? DeJoy left for whatever reason, and now he's here.
Yeah, nothing to do with back pay, but no problem. Steiner, the fact that we haven't heard a lot from him is a great thing, in my opinion. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that because, you want your Postmaster General to have ideas. You want the Postmaster General to move the company forward. Obviously, we want the Postal Service to be the delivery mechanism for America going forward, and the small parcel market and everything that needs to be delivered in a modern, time. We want the Postal Service to capture those revenues and those deliveries. So the Postmaster General being the helm of the organization, you want that person to have these ideas and be moving us forward. There's legislative things that you want the Postmaster General to advocate for and try to get changed through changing of the law. But as far as how the post office works internally, how they treat us, the different, structure of the post office, the way things are set up. It's a complete disaster. And we haven't had any luck up until now. Well, we haven't really tried, I don't think, in convincing whoever the Postmaster General is, or if that doesn't work, you go to the Board of Governors, you go to Congress, who has oversight over the Postal Service. But, they're running this thing into the ground. Service is an afterthought. The grievance process is whack and is costing both sides a ton of money and a ton of angst. The workroom floors are very tense. There's way too much stress and harassment out there. The hiring process is terrible. There's just a lot of things that need to be fixed, and there's more supervisors than ever, and it appears that their only job is to harass the shit out of us every day. And that's a complete drain on your morale, and it's a complete drain on your finances and resources as a company. So I'd love to get in there and engage with Mr. Steiner on some of these things. I don't know if we're even having those discussions with the Postmaster General. If we have, we certainly haven't made them public. So
UPS has a strong union. What can we do to make our union stronger?
Well, the main thing I would think is vote for better leadership at the top. And I'll leave it to you guys to hopefully do your homework. We got a long time before the next elections, which will be in the fall of 2026. So obviously I'm a candidate. I think I can do a good job for you guys, but by all means, vote for the person or persons that you think can better lead this union. And we're going to take this time from now until the election to vet the candidates, especially candidate for president. That's by far the most important position that we're going to elect next year. But we're also very, the strength of our union is the fact that we have 1,500 branches and that we're in every nook and cranny in America. And we have the capability of being a much stronger union than the Teamsters or any other union, just because, look, we're an open shop and well over 90% of letter carriers voluntarily decide they want to be a part of this union. I think that gives us strength, the fact that it's voluntary versus being forced on somebody, and the fact that so many people, such a high percent of our letter carriers want to be a part of this union, I think gives us strength. I think the fact that we're in every congressional district in America gives us strength. And the fact that we have branches and we have elected local stewards and local presidents and all of that, I think all of that gives us strength. But what we don't have right now is strength at the top. We don't have vision. We don't have strategy. We don't have anyone at the top of our union organizing our union to be as effective and as strong as we possibly can. And that's what we need. And that's why we need to change in 2026. So.
Any other back pay questions?
Yeah, any other back pay questions? I think I try to lay that out pretty good for you guys right at the beginning. So hopefully questions that a lot of you had, kind of got answered at the beginning of the program. And we certainly don't have to stay on all night to go over everything. But, it's the most important thing. We all want to know how much money we're getting, So we just want to make sure you guys understand where this money's coming from, how it's calculated, and those type of things. But remember, if you guys know any retirees or anyone that left the Postal Service, if you're in contact with that person, let them know. They probably have a check coming for them on Friday, and they should contact the local post office, the last delivery unit where they worked, and see if that check is there on Friday, and if there's some discrepancy or someone thinks that they didn't get what they were entitled to, there's always the grievance procedure. Anyone can file a grievance. So, use that process to either clarify with the situation or use that process to pursue your, if you think you were wronged in some way with the back pay.
I just hope I get a pay stub.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with your thing. Got lost in cyberspace or whatever, but people started getting it on Light Blue on Saturday.
Yeah.
They were able to see what it was going to look like, and I couldn't see mine until this morning. All yesterday I couldn't see. Renee, when were you able to see yours?
In the morning as well too.
Today?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what the difference is, why some people were able to see it on Saturday versus like this morning, or I don't know where yours is at, Sarah.
Yeah. Well,
Well, I mean, as long as the money comes on time, right? Like,
That's all that matters. As long as I get some direct deposit on Friday,
right.
I'm okay.
We can get the stub and all that later and just look at the
I think
calculations.
Lopez might be holding yours hostage, Sarah.
He probably is. He probably is.
Man.
Oh, you worked Sunday? Okay.
Man, oh man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess this wraps up our edition of Mic Drop Monday. So thanks everyone for joining us, and you guys will be able to listen to this, throughout the week. Or, I mean, it's saved. You can listen to this thing sometime next year, maybe. I don't know. We're just trying to put out as much stuff so that people can get a good feel for what the campaign is all about. I want to take this time to say thank you to all of the volunteers for the campaign, which would include you guys, Sarah, Renee, all the people out there that are helping us out doing so many things. I'm running for president, but I'm not running by myself. I'm running with a huge group of people. All the people that are out there helping to sell raffle tickets, all the people that are spreading information about the campaign, people that are giving feedback. There's just so many different things going on with the campaign, and I appreciate all of you guys, what you're doing. If there's something I should be doing differently or better, please let me know. This is a fluid thing, and we're going to be constantly improving what we're doing. And get your raffle tickets. Hopefully you'll win, and if you didn't win, you're still donating to a good cause. So,
All right. Good night, everyone.
cool. Good night, everyone. Be safe out there.